Hello, everyone, and welcome to Couples in Conversations. We are super excited to have you guys today. We have a great topic that we're going to be talking about. The topic that we're going to be talking about today is finances. Finances is listed as one of the top three reasons for divorce, unfortunately. So I really want to dive into that and talk about what healthy financial conversations look like, how we do it inside of our individual relationships, and just potentially give you guys some tools and some helpful hints on what works, what doesn't work, and our perspectives on that. So super excited to talk about that. Before we get into that, I want to introduce our panel today. We have my wife Jennifer James. We have Fowler Nation, Toy Lise, and Michael. We have the Love Jones, Fuchsia, and Josh. We have our datees, JJ and Kiera. We have our divorcee, Tammy, as well as Lasonia. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. And as I told you guys, this is the finance conversation. I know that finance has come up a lot. We talk about it a lot. And again, it is one of the top three reasons for divorce. So we are going to kind of dive into it. So the actual question that we are going to start off with first is it the job of the man of the house to take care of the core bills? So the core bills meaning rent, lights, gas, electric, and all that stuff like that. Or should that responsibility be split? Okay. So that is the first question that we're going to tackle today. And we're going to start this conversation off with Fowler Nation.
All right. Good evening, everyone. In regards to the question, I personally, I'm kind of split because in the beginning, when I first got married, I 100% believed it was the man's job. But as I grew and matured in wifehood and womanhood, I did come to the realization that it can be a shared responsibility. However, I still do have in my mind a little bit that I reserve the right to walk away from a job if I feel like it, but you don't reserve that right. But I have not done that though in several years, and my husband can attest to that because that used to be my ministry. But yes, I do feel like it is nowadays a shared responsibility.
And I agree with my wife. Shared responsibility. Um, in the beginning, she was a stay-at-home wife, so that was my job. And then if times are rough and I didn't have a job, then she picked up the slack and took care of the bills on that end. But it's a partnership, so straight down the middle.
Until I feel like I'm ready to walk away.
All right, we're heading on over to Love Jones. Fuchsia and Josh, what's your take on this topic?
You sure? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, as with most traditions, this was the way that things were done. Back when women were just like to basically be homekeepers, and that's kind of a way of life that has kind of been passed on and been taught. Even and just like Fallen Nation said, that's something that we were taught. Growing up, that's just the way it's supposed to be. I'm supposed to be the breadwinner. My wife's supposed to stay home. Be in the kitchen with bare feet cooking or whatever. I take care of the house. But times change. Things today for women are totally different than what they were. I mean, like polar opposite. So, she has just as much of a right to go out and pursue her dreams and her career as well. And with that comes finances, and with that, with us being a, we can do a lot more together than we can if it was just me. Believe me. But you know, so I mean, we we believe that it's better together than just for one person to carry that load.
I agree. I'm not the stay at home type. It's okay, to be domestic. That's fine. For me, I went to school. I had plans to be in a particular career. So for us, I think it works. And I agree. You can do more together than you can with just one income. And the way our life is set up, and the way I want our life to be set up, we need two incomes. Unless Josh go ahead and make it big, and then
I
I
hear
don't.
that.
I could be
I
like
think
Paul Nation. I don't feel like it.
exactly.
I don't want it.
I hear that for sure. All right, let's head on down to Tammy. What did this look like for you? I know that you are now on the other side, of your divorce. So, what did this look like for you, and what are your thoughts about it now?
Um, what it looked like for me when I was married, it was because me and my husband married so young and we both had nothing when we married. It was a shared responsibility. However, where I'm at now, even with me working, if I was to marry again, the I would expect for my husband to provide. That doesn't mean I'm going to stay at home and be the pregnant wife nurturing the kids, be a stay-at-home mom. However, there's more bills, there's other things inside the home that need to be taken care of with finances. So my expectations is for my future husband to pay the core bills, which is the mortgage, the light bill, gas bill, water bill, and I would contribute to them things like maybe a car note, insurance, groceries, clothing for the kids. So I don't know. I have different expectations now. Where I'm at in life is a guy have to, and I don't want to come off in a, but it's the truth. A guy at least have to be able to care for me financially and support the household. Not saying if he get down on his luck, I'm not willing to step in because I am willing to step in. But that's the bare minimum I feel a husband should be able to do is to provide for his household financially. And those are my expectations moving forward.
Okay. I'm going to head on over to Johnny and Kiera, and I know that this looks incredibly different for you guys since you are only dating. Is this a conversation that you guys have had? Yes or no? And then what are your thoughts on it?
Mm. Yeah, this is definitely a conversation that we have had when it comes to finances. Um, we are not like traditional couples, like in past times where everything was based off of what the woman should do at home, and the man should be the provider. We definitely want to make sure that we can equally provide within our household when that time comes. So it's basically going to be like split for the most part. But I know for the biggest, like JJ is going to make sure that he's still like the man of the house, but not in like a abusive or a demanding way.
Okay. JJ?
I agree with everything that was said.
All right. Lasonia?
I believe that there should be a shared responsibility. The way this world works, uh, in this century, that's just what it is. The cost of living is high, and you really need, I guess you don't need, but it's very helpful to have both people caring for the household. Um, I have been in a relationship where everything was taken care of. Um, I had my own job, and my husband and I made equal amounts of money. So we both contributed money to the account, but he took care of the business side of making sure that that money paid the bills. And then I've been on the opposite side where I was the breadwinner and pretty much took care of everything. But I my preference in a relationship is that we're both doing this together. We're a team. We're doing this together, even if that is we sit down and decide, okay, you're going to take care of A, B, and C, and I'm going to take care of D, E, and F, or whatever that looks like, whatever works for us in that moment in time.
Okay. Jennifer, what are your thoughts?
Well, for us, prior to marriage, we never had this conversation of what um, finances look like. My husband has always struggled with finances, but it was like a sensitive area for him.
What's
But
that mean?
it was sensitive. But going into it, we both were actively working. There has been periods where I wasn't working due to pregnancy, and because I wanted to build those bonds before going back to work. And then there was a period where he was off work, and so we were able to make sure that everything was stable in the household. But how we work at it now is, although we both have a mutual responsibility, we try to be as financially supportive of each other and smart. And so we utilize his income as the core bills, and mine is just for savings and vacations or things that bring us pleasure and stuff like that. But I think that goes back to like really assessing how you want your future to be. And that was also a reason why we limited the amount of children that we had, because there was so many things that I wanted to accomplish. There's the life that I wanted to be able to provide for them. And that was another reason why I actually went back to school to pursue my master's and now my doctorate.
So I would have to say, for me, I agree with the collective. I think it works better when it is split. I struggle with the notion that it is the man of the house's responsibility, so to speak. And the reason why I struggle with that is because when you say it is the responsibility of the man of the house to take care of this thing, take care of the core bills, whatever it is, I almost feel like in some cases and in some situations, you are removing the partnership aspect of the relationship. Just like, for example, the next thing that we're going to talk about, like separate accounts versus a joint account, right? So for me, I am 1000% against this whole little separate accounts and we add money to the pot and then take money out of the pot. So because for me, I feel like that creates an unnecessary separation. This is just me. You're welcome to have your own opinion.
Just him.
It creates an unnecessary separation in this place that's supposed to be a partnership. So I think when you say, oh, this is the man's responsibility, sure, I think you're going to have that conversation. You're going to have conversations about what your expectations are. But like to Tammy's point, when she said, the person that she marries now has to be able to financially provide, I think that that's okay. And I think that they should be, because if you can't provide for you guys as a unit, that's a problem. But to say that somebody's not in the running because they're not there yet, I think is a little for me. But I saw your hand, Toy Lee, so I'm going to you first, and then we'll come to you.
Okay, so first of all, man, bye. Because you have a problem with that? There's nothing wrong with having sex, because Michael and I, that's how we operate. Because at the very end of the day, what you're not going to do is, once I have contributed to my portion of what we have sat down and we talked about, we don't assess the bills and we don't agree. Whenever we get paid, this how much you gonna put in, this how much I'm gonna put in, and then everything else is a wrap. So when it comes down to my personal account, what you have not is say over what happens there, because at that point, that's all mine. I've done what I have fulfilled my responsibility as your partner within what has to happen with the house. So whatever I choose to do with the rest of that is mine. That was something that my husband struggles with. That's a ministry that he struggled with right now, because he be trying to tell me what to do with my money after I've already made my financial contribution to the family pot and everything.
That's what I'm saying. When you get into partnerships, and because even in your speech that you just made, there was a lot of mine. This is mine, and this is my part, and I contributed to that. Like For me, that's crazy. That's crazy.
That's not crazy. Okay, well, let me let me reclaim your time because you're misunderstanding what I mean as far as mine. When I say mine, I mean my husband can't get up and go to work and earn my money. I have to get up and go clock into my job to earn my paycheck. Sure. And from that paycheck, that is what I contribute to our household. So whatever is left after that, it all belongs to me. Every penny belongs to me.
I would like to hear from Michael. Reclaiming your time. Go ahead, Michael.
So I believe in a joint and a separate because I feel like there are just some things that you want to do for yourself. There may be things that you want to buy for your spouse. There may be a bill that I attributed, like I got a new credit card. That I don't feel
you
like
did?
No.
Oh.
But if I did, that's my responsibility. Amen. That comes out of we agreed that hey, these are the bills that we're gonna pay together. Mm-hmm. Split that. Whatever's separate or whatever's the rest, that's what we leave in our account. Mm-hmm. So when I want to go buy a gift for Amazon.com and we have the same account, I don't have to get it out of the joint account because that just spoils up the whole surprise. I have to have my own money.
And you already know, I'm sorry to cut you off, honey, but my husband, he's quick to tell you that you bought a gift with the money he gave you. He quick to tell you that. So did you really buy me a gift?
That wasn't.
Thank you. I'm reclaiming y'all time. Go ahead, Tammy.
Mills, going back to what you said about someone being out of the running if they can't provide adequately for the household. I think you're delusional. I'm 40. Well, I'm about to be 40. So my expectations as a woman at 40 is different from my expectations when I was 23 getting married. Sure. If I'm dating a man at 40, he needs to be established. I'm established in my career. He needs to be established, and he should be able to bring at least equal the amount of what I bring to the table. So no, I don't got time to be raising a man. I ain't got time to be helping him on his journey. We're 40 now. You should have did that in your 20s or even your 30s. But that's unacceptable at 40. So therefore, yes, you're definitely out the running if you ain't got your shit together. I'm sorry. Oops. If you don't got your stuff together financially, you are out the running at 40 because what you've been doing. Now I can see if it's just, you down on your luck right now in between jobs or something like that. But no, you got to be bringing something at least equal the amount that I make to the table in order for it to work with us. Because my expectations are just higher now.
Okay, Jennifer, and then LaSonia.
First of all, I agree with Tammy. I think it's time out for carrying the man. Like she said, if you're in between, obviously a lot of people are down on their luck in their pandemic. There's been times where you was in between, but I think it's more of a mindset and your hustle. Like a real man's not gonna come like, oh no, babe, like you got this. I'm not, what I'm saying, I'm just filling it out. No, this is what happened. This is what I'm doing. I'm making these moves. If you're not making the moves, we really got nothing to talk about. When it comes to what you were saying and kind of what Twilisa was saying, I agree with the Fowlers as far as having separate money. Right now, we don't have that just because that was just a headache because, again, the struggles. But
we will not have that.
Anyways, I believe in mad money. But no, I think that the only issue, and I'm cautious to say issue because obviously different people operate their marriage or their relationship however, and it doesn't make it wrong just because it's different than how I view it. But I think it goes back to like the mindset, because Toylisa's reason or what she verbalized was, you're not going to tell me what I can and cannot do with my money. And so that comes in, to me, the mind frame of, I have to have my own separate stash because you're going to control what I'm doing. If I'm contributing, I shouldn't, as long as everything is paid for and we got this and this, I shouldn't have to ask you, can I make this purchase? At that point, we got other issues. And yeah, we probably do need to start on separate accounts, but figure out what this issue is.
I agree with that. And I want to go really quick, and I'm coming to you, LaSonia, but I really want to go to the comments real quick. Thank you guys so much for watching. I see your comments. But Mag Watt said, I make more money than my husband, but his value extends far beyond finances. And I think that that's both an incredible and a powerful statement to make. Going back to Tammy's statement, somebody's out of the running because of finances. So, and even my wife used some language about a real man is not going to be like, oh, you got this, and you go ahead and work. Listen, my wife is getting ready to be a doctor. Once she get them letters behind her name, I have no problem sitting. No problem.
You ain't sitting, sir.
You go ahead.
You're not sitting.
I mean, I'll write books.
But that's working. But I think you're misinterpreting. We didn't
I'm just
say
saying.
we didn't say we had to be on the same
I'm
level
reclaiming
of
our
income.
time. I'm reclaiming our time. Go ahead, LaSonia.
Y'all are tripping. I just want to make that statement first and foremost. So I agree with Tammy that I'm 43. I'm about to be. Wait, how old am I? I was born in 76. How old am I? About to be 44.
You older than 43. I think you older than 43, definitely.
I'm 44. I'm about to be 45. Jesus, take the wheel. I'm about to be 45. Yeah, I need you to not work at 7-Eleven at 40-something, at 45 years old. I need you to be doing something. And that's not to say that you are necessarily making as much money as me. Maybe you're not bringing the same amount to the table, but whatever you are bringing to the table, what does that look like? What are you doing with it? Are you handling your business? Do you have some savings? What are you doing with that? Because if you handling your business and you can come correct, we can talk. But as far as like the account situation, I think you should have a joint account, and I do think that it should be mutually agreed upon that you can have separate accounts as well. Because
30 seconds. I want to know why. Why do you think it's important and or appropriate to have separate accounts? 30 seconds.
For a couple of reasons. The point that Michael made, if I want to surprise you with something and you all up in the account want to know where $250 was, none of your business, and now we got to have a discussion because I don't want you to know what I did with $250, but I'm surprising you, that. And then, I have personal desires, I might want to blinging steering wheel cover. I don't know. It's something, with my money, and I should not have to come to you or take from the joint account with that. But with that being said, there should be an account, that business is being handled out of, but there should also be a joint account where you're saving for your future. And then we can each have our little play account. This is my account that I use when me and the girls gonna go to the spa, kind of thing. And that should not be a problem.
All right. Thank you. Reclaiming your time. Go ahead, Fowler Nation. And then Tammy, I see your hand.
I just want to be fair. Tammy's hand was up before mine.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't see it because she's doing a lot of theatrics.
Right, because I'm gonna forget what I was about to say. I'm getting a little old. Okay, I got two comments. The first comment is geared towards what the writer stated about being valuable beyond the finances. That's true, but I'm valuable beyond the finances as well. We're not talking about, because we both adding value to the household, because it's more to running a household than just being financially stable and sound. You got chores around the house, inside and outside. So yeah, I need that value within the household and financially. Okay. That's where I'm at with that. Then the second thing, I think it's important for you guys to have separate bank accounts because for one, you're still an individual. And for two, from what I know about getting divorced, baby, you need your own stuff because if something goes wrong or left, they coming after you for everything you got and they don't care. Some people will even drain your joint account. So I'm going to need my own stuff and then I'll have my joint account where we put our money in for savings and things like that. But no, you still need your own account because these days you never know what may happen.
Thank you. Go ahead, Fowler Nation.
Okay, I have two comments I would like to make as well. I would the person who made the comment, I definitely agree with that because my husband's value is most definitely far beyond finances because but no, seriously, you're welcome, honey. No, but I mean one thing, and most people, well, Marie and the Jameses, they know without a shadow of a doubt that if Michael have not done anything else, he have held us down. Period. That we've never been homeless. We've never had lights been off, food been hungry, kids needed things. None of those things have ever happened, and that was whether I was working or not. Secondly, the reason that made me opt to say no matter what, I'm going to have a joint account is because early in our marriage, I had this really big surprise that I wanted to do for my husband. And we only had the one account at the time. So I had to get in cahoots. I had to get in cahoots with my mother-in-law because he is asking questions like Sonia said, what happened to this money? Now he had been talking about this piano that he wanted. And so I said, okay, cool. I know what your Christmas is going to be. But when I went to go pull, because I didn't buy it with the card, so I went to pull the money out the bank. And he asking me all these questions. So I had to pull my mother-in-law into it and say, well, she asked me to loan the money, so I let her borrow the money. So then he go calling her. And talk about mine. And I'm like, mine, whatever he say, just go along with it, please. So, and then he ended up crying on Christmas Day because he opened up the gift and it was the man, you was there. He opened up the gift and that was the piano that he was eyeing. So ever since that day, I said, you know what? This will never happen again because whenever I decide that I want to start working, I'm going to have my own account. And that way we will never have to have this conversation. And that was all, period.
All right, I'm reclaiming your time because I want to go to the comments and we're going to do a rapid fire question because I think this is a great question. We're going to start with Love Jones and then we're going to go down to Kiera and JJ, then LaSonia, then Tammy, then Fowler Nation, and then Jennifer and myself. Again, thank you guys so much for tuning in today. Brandon Davis said, should financial contributions impact the amount of household work? For example, if one person brings in less money, should they cover more of the household chores? So I want us to take 60 seconds, everybody, and let's answer that around the room. And we're starting with Love Jones.
Well, that's a really good question. But I guess, with it being rapid, I got to answer quick. So, I guess I could just answer based off of how we've always done things. Because in the beginning, and I know we didn't do a lot of commenting before, but in the beginning, I had to grow in financial literacy, whereas Fuchsia was, already kind of there when it came to that kind of stuff. So, there were times where, she was way above me in that area. And but regardless of where we leveled off at, we've always approached everything in our relationship and marriage with with a partnership mindset. So it was always, we do this together. So as far as like, even like household work and things like that, I mean, of course, I can always do more. Sometimes I get caught up in being busy, but it's still regardless, yeah. So we can.
Jeez, you took all the time.
No, I thought. Well, I know. My bad.
I'm gonna say.
Oh, you got your own 60 view. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Take the rest of my
I
10.
will say this. I feel like if you're working outside, if both of you are working outside the home, but maybe somebody's working part-time, other is full-time, yes, I think you should be doing more in the house because you're working less. I think that will be a happy medium. That's just me. That's my take at it.
Yeah.
Okay, so you don't think it's related at all to how much money? You think it's related to the amount of time they're spending?
No, I don't think it should be related because I think that it gets convoluted. If you outside the home part-time and I'm out full-time, while I'm out that other piece, you need to be here making sure the house is together or making sure dinner is done or something like that.
Okay. JJ, Kiera.
So I don't think it should be based off the amount of not working. I think it should just be done. So like I'm working 8 hours and like you're home 12 hours. I expect to come home to a clear sink, the clothes folded, the trash out. I shouldn't be like coming home telling you to do this, that, and the third when you've been home all day.
And I feel like if I'm looking for a job and I'm trying to get ready for these job interviews, I shouldn't be doing chores. That's just me personally.
I mean,
I need to focus. I need to focus on the job interview, and I need to focus. This pen need to be on paper, right? The job applications. You feel me? No, I'm just playing. No, but I think that I don't know. I think it's interesting because the question was like, does financial contributions dictate the amount of household work? And I know that right now, me and Kiera work the same amount of hours. You know, obviously I make a little bit more than her, but I mean, like, it's like, should that affect like her doing more work than I do based on that? And I don't think that should be the case because we're both putting in the same amount of work, same amount of time. And I don't think one job should be valued over the other one in that sense. So yeah, I think that, yeah, I agree. Like it just needs to be done. If we know it needs to be done, it needs to be done. Mm-hmm. And that's something that just needs to be communicated. If it's the dishes or the trash, and we see it needs to be done, we just do it. You know, I think that's just how I feel like we would operate. So.
Okay, LaSonia.
I agree. I think if you see it, do it. Don't wait on me to come back from the store because I work 4 less hours than you a day. But also there are nowadays with entrepreneurship and all these other there are people who can make a ton of money in 3 hours. So if I'm pulling a 10-hour shift and you making a lot more money than me in your little 2-3 hours, so no, that's not how that's supposed to go. But I do believe in an absolute shared responsibility. I don't think that just because you are the breadwinner or you work 10 hours a day and I only work 8 hours a day, that you walk past a overflowing garbage can 3 times because you do you make more money than me. No, absolutely not. You see it, you do it. I agree with JJ on that.
All right, Tammy.
I don't think finances have anything to do about your work around the house. I think you and your mate need to have a conversation. Even in my marriage, I can say one thing about my husband. He didn't expect for me to do all the work around the house. Some things he didn't allow me to touch. Going out there in that yard, only went out there if I wanted to go out there. Touching garbage, no. Mopping floors, no, because I got arthritis. I can't be afford to do all that bending. So I think finances have nothing to do with it. I think if you put finances into the equation, it kind of make the other person feel like you're less than me or something. So I'm not your maid and you're not my maid. So therefore we need to work as a team and we need to have a conversation of the expectations. One may not like doing dishes, but the other one don't have a problem with it. So I think it's just all a conversation and it definitely shouldn't be based off of finances. And I think many men probably think that way because I've been a stay-at-home mom. And when I was a stay-at-home mom, I said, this is something I never want to do again, simply because men's expectations are so high, not understanding that a stay-at-home mom job is 24 hours. It never ends. So no, I don't agree with that.
All right, Fowler Nation.
So we definitely agree with the panel in regard to the amount of money. The only time the amount of money I believe will come into play as far as house chores is when your amount is zero, because that means that you are at home. And if your amount is zero because you are at home, then yes, I do expect you to do a little bit more around the house than normal. When I was at home, my husband, when he came home, whatever his expectations were, first of all, bye. because long as you had a meal and the house was clean, no matter what. See, Michael had that white glove ministry. And my thing is, if you put the white glove on, it may be sparkling after you're done and it may not be, but oh well. It is at today, I probably just wasn't feeling it. Yesterday I was. But I believe as long as you, when you can do more, period. And Michael agrees, so you can reclaim our time.
Go ahead, Michael.
I agree with
I told you.
with a lot of the panel. I feel like it's two ways. If you're not bringing any income into the house, of course you're going to be home more. So yes, I do expect you to do more. I mean, either your house wife or your house husband, either one. I'm secretly waiting for that to come around my way.
You secretly want another wife then?
But yeah, if I'm at home, then of course I expect you to expect me to clean the dishes, make sure the clothes are washed, make sure the house is clean and straightened up. Kids are taken care of because you're outside the house. Like Love Jones, Fuchsia said, if I'm working a part-time job, I'm home more often. However, if I'm working a full-time job too, but you're making more than me, like my wife was back in Detroit, we were both working a full-time job. Now, if you're gonna say I have to be on your same level, that feels like a punishment to me that I now have to do more work because I'm not making as much money as you are, but I'm still putting in the same amount of time outside the house. So I don't know how that was gonna work because but definitely agree. You can't do that.
All right, go ahead, Jennifer.
I agree with the notion that the amount of financial contribution shouldn't have anything to do with the amount of chores in the house. However, I disagree with the idea that even if just because my amount is zero because I am at home, I have to do more chores. And the reason why I say that is that there's other contributing factors. Like right now, I'm at home because the pandemic forced me to stop working to teach my children, but I'm also in school. So I do have some level of income coming in, but I'm not cleaning this whole house because I'm the teacher, I'm a student, and I'm doing other things. So I think that it should be equal play field, and that needs to be a conversation because that was an issue earlier within our marriage because he felt like even though we were both going out into the workforce, he felt like his only responsibility as a man was to get a paycheck. No matter what it was, that was just it. He didn't do anything in the home. And that was a big struggle and wedge between us because it was the expectation that I took care of everything in the household, whether I was helping outside the household or not.
Well, that was my unlearned self.
It was your unlearned.
And I have changed.
Thank you for learning.
I've been unlocked, right? Unlocked and happy. So I definitely had that expectation. And I think that came from the ideology of growing up, how we saw the way that our parents and our grandparents spoke about marriage in this very unhealthy way. It was taught to us that we provide and the wife takes care of the home. And that's just based off of what I saw. Once I understood that is caveman days and that doesn't work, I was able to make changes. But at first, again, my mindset was, this is what I saw, this is what I was taught, this is what it is. So it did take me some time to change that and to come on board with, well, that really doesn't make sense, nor does it really work. So it definitely took some time for me to adapt that mindset because I was definitely on the other side of that. Go ahead, LaSonia.
I've experienced every aspect of this. So in being honest and transparent, I was married and divorced twice, and I also shacked for 2 years. But so, and through those relationships, I literally have, and then there were my parents. So I've literally experienced all of it. My parents both worked their knuckles to the bone outside of the home and in the home. both. Our house was always spotless. They were always working. You know, for them, it didn't matter. It was just, this is what we got to do. Let's get it done. With my, with one, and I won't separate them, but with one of my marriages, it was kind of that way. We both worked equal amount of time outside the home and inside the home. And I was liable to, our shifts kind of staggered. He would get home before me, but I was liable to come home and dinner was already going, Lysol smelling in the background, you know, that's just how it was. And then I've experienced where I did most of the working outside the home, but I came home and everything was taken care of. You know, he couldn't cook, but at least the meat was sitting on the counter thawing out or something. You know, the house was clean, the dishes were, you know, clean, the kitchen was set up ready for me to cook. The empty pot was on the stove, all the stirring utensils was laid out in alphabetical order. The you know, like, you know, and that was the contribution. And then I've experienced where I worked 2 jobs and did all the household work and took care of all the kids single-handedly. So, I mean, if I had to pick a favorite, I really enjoyed, like, there is something to be said in a relationship when both of you are really taking on everything to make sure that kids, house, bills, everything is being taken care of, and one person isn't doing more than the other.
I agree with that totally, Lasonia, and I'm coming to you too, Elise. I know for sure for me, in our relationship, we used to, Jennifer would tell me all the time, just because I'm here, I'm doing all of these things, right? And I would say, okay. And so then I would do something and it wouldn't be the way that she wanted. And then this my time, babe.
Hey, I'm
time.
just shaking my head.
This
Go
my
ahead.
time, though.
Go ahead.
Don't
Go tell your
don't
lie
do
and I'll
that.
tell the truth. Go ahead.
So I would do something, and now it's not the way that she wants it done. So in my mind, that's equivalent to me not doing it at all. So I'm like, you know what?
It really is.
Let me just go ahead and just take care of the bills, then the finances, because obviously you want this stuff done the way that you want it done, and it's just not that way. So that was also a struggle of ours, and it wasn't necessarily my financial contribution versus her financial contribution, but I felt like, and again, this is my
Unlearned self.
This my unlearned. This my you need a computer and a mic because you need to be muted. So I just felt like no matter what I had done, it just was like, no, the socks go in this drawer. This t-shirt goes over here. And I'm like, the t-shirt goes in the drawer. The end.
Reclaiming your time.
Hold on, wait. We got a hand.
Okay, but wait, hold on. Because we got to set the record straight. It was not that it was not my way. It was you were half doing it. So you were putting the socks together and putting Zaire, which is my 4-year-old daughter's socks, in my sock drawer. You might as well not touch the socks if I got to redo it. It's not about my way. It's about the
and putting spoons where the forks go. Come on.
Like, come on.
But guess what? A sock can get misplaced. It's fine.
Not her whole sock drawer. Come on now.
It's fine. No. It's just a sock.
You were just doing it to try to say that you did something, but not really do it.
Go ahead, Fowler Nation. I saw your hand, Toilies.
Okay, I just want to say this. When you was that 2017? When my husband was off of work, it was in 2017. I can honestly say that our house ran like a well-oiled machine. Michael, I forget what happened as to why he wasn't working, but whatever, whichever one it was. But when I came home from work, dinner had already been started. Kids have all been taken care of. He done help people with homework. He was a lot nicer. He, he wasn't holding out, he wasn't holding out. I mean, he was just, the whole ministry worked. The whole ministry worked. And I told Michael, I said, if this is the version of you that I'm going to get because you are at home and I make enough money to sustain us, then baby, stay your tail home. And that's on period. I don't mind going out to work and coming home because we just worked. Everything was good. I wasn't stressed. I came home. He would ask me how my day was. I mean, we was like what was they, the Weavers or the Beavers? The Leave It to Beaver people?
Oh,
we
yeah.
were like them. I would come home and, hey, honey, I'm home. Kids were good. House was good. He was good. I was good. At the end of the day, I was good. So I'm looking like, Lord, just put me back there, Lord, in the name. Because I don't mind going out to work if this is the version of my husband that I'm going to get. I just wanted to add that. Say cheese for the camera.
And I think it's important though, because different stuff works for different relationships. And I think that it's incredibly important to have the conversation be open, the conversation be fluid, so that you can talk about those things. Because again, going back to my previous statement, the way that my parents operated and the way that our grandparents operated, I assumed that there was no issue with that because they did it so seamlessly, and it was never any regard of somebody wanting a change. Like, they just did it. It's just what they did. And once I found out that that does not work for Jennifer Nichelle James, I had to make some changes quick. Yeah, because it got rough for a minute. Jennifer went once. I would speak about my wife from my expectation. Once Jennifer creates or sets an expectation, there is no gray area. There's no middle ground. There's no, you kind of met it. It's like you either meet it or you don't. And I think that comes from her coach background. Like she's very analytical and she's always thinking about stuff. You don't think that's true about you?
I don't, because I don't really have an issue if that was what you wanted this relationship to be alike. But you also need to be in the millions bracket where I don't have to think about what I got to shift around to be able to do what I want to do. So if you can make that money and I can do what I want to do, I will be fine with that. But since that's not where we currently are, then I do have these specific expectations of you contributing. Okay.
I'm on my way to making the millions.
And then I stop talking.
I'm on my way to making the millions. Go ahead. I want to go over to Tammy. I thought she was saying something, but I couldn't hear her. She was muted.
I wasn't saying, only thing I did say, Mills, is the reason why you probably put them socks in the wrong drawer is so that she could say, if you're not doing it right, then don't do it at all, and I'm going to step in and do it. But thanks, Jennifer, for not giving in. Make him do the stuff right, period. Yeah. Because y'all try to use that manipulation and reverse psychology like we don't know what y'all are doing. It backfired on you, Mills.
I would like to correct in the strongest of words, that was in no way a form of a manipulation. I legit, you know what it was? It was, I'm sitting here looking at 3 things of laundry and I'm folding up socks and I'm going. I'm putting all of this stuff out. And then now I'm exhausted, but I know I can't leave this stuff out. And
you're exhausted?
Babe, there go computer right there. Go log on the computer. So now I'm tired and I'm like, man, I got to get these socks put up. So when I grab a big pile of socks, 2 or 3 pair may end up in the wrong drawer.
No, you're being dramatic because it's not 2 or 3 pair, and this is every time you do laundry. And for the record, we as women do laundry. It may take us a little bit to do, like maybe an hour to do 2 or 3 loads. This dude takes 24 hours to do 1 load of laundry because he got to watch every show. He got to take breaks. Yeah, so you probably are tired after you get done with 1 load of laundry after 24 hours. You are absolutely right.
I have a very methodical way that I have to do my laundry.
And you baby sister, I just want to add that is a man thing because Michael used to have that ministry, but I got him together. See, you've been delivered. You've been delivered.
There was nothing to deliver me from.
Oh, baby, you had a 24-hour ministry.
Oh, no, I didn't.
Oh, I'm lying. It was a 48-hour ministry.
Man, stuff be sitting on the couch for days.
Well, have I gotten better? Because you haven't acknowledged that yet.
You have gotten better.
But I haven't met the expectation. Y'all hear that?
You have
heard
not
it
met the
first.
expectation,
See?
but you are getting better. I applaud you.
All right, guys, this has been super, super, super phenomenal conversation. I just want to take this time and go around the room, and I would love our panel to take 60 seconds and give your final thoughts on the topic. And we are going to start with Lasagna.
Why you start with me? Final thoughts. I think this, stems back to conversation that we had a long time ago about conversation about expectations, conversations about, roles. What role do you expect to play? What role do you expect me to play in this relationship, in this household? Making some decisions, coming to some agreements. I mean, it all just boils down to that. Even with finances, household responsibilities. And, there may be some things that you do not agree on. Fine, write those things on a piece of paper, put them in a bucket, shake them up, and see who draws the short stick this week for those things that aren't agreed upon. But it really comes down to having a conversation and finding out what is expected of everyone and coming to some agreements.
Thank you, JJ and Kiera. 60 seconds. Final thoughts.
Make sure that JJ don't put my white bras with the red clothing and dark.
Girl, teach him now.
I am.
Listen. No, I mean I'm gonna be serious. No, I definitely think that this is a dope conversation.
Yeah.
I think that financially, there were some things that we definitely could take away from this. I'm not sure where we stand with the whole single versus joint account thing yet, but that's something that we will talk about. So no, I do appreciate this conversation. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Definitely make sure that the contributions are they're fair. And I agree with what LaSonia said with the making sure communication is there. So that's it.
Thank y'all.
All right, Love Jones.
So I just echo what Lasagna has said in regards to just maintaining that communication piece. That's extremely important. As long as you are on the same page with one another, I think it'll be good. We didn't get a chance to chime in on the account situation, but we have our joint, we have our separate. I know Frank, whatever. I'm sorry, but that's how we do. That's how we do, just because that's what we agreed upon. And I think it makes our life easier because this one likes to shop, and I like to save, and so I don't want to have to monitor how much going up out of our joints. So he needs his own pot. I need my own pot when I feel like shopping. But communication is definitely the key, and I think as long as you're on the same page, you'll be fine.
Yep. With finances being one of the biggest causes of divorce, it's definitely something that couples shouldn't shy away from talking about. Different strokes for different folks. Everybody, is going to have their own way of doing things. But the biggest thing, even in this conversation, we all have different opinions, and rightfully so, because your opinions are based off of your experiences. But you have to talk about it. It has to be put out there. And everything should be approached with an open mind and with a partnership mindset. That's the only way to really gain some traction on that.
All right, Tammy.
Okay, I enjoyed this conversation, but what I do want to say is I think it's important that the man is able to provide for his household, and that means paying the core bills. It does something with his ego. It strokes it a little bit. He's feel manlier. And then when a woman is out there taking care of the rest of the bills and coming in with those pair of underwear for her man, because he don't have to go out and get them himself or do those small things, I think it makes the relationship run smoother. Because we didn't hit on this, but when a man is not doing less than what the world has expected him to do, eventually it causes interruptions in the relationship. So I think him being able to provide actually makes him feel more adequate. So I would want my man to be the provider. Okay. And I'll do all the extra stuff. But again, I enjoyed this conversation. It's very important, Mills, to have separate bank accounts. Jennifer, don't give in on that. And I think that's all I have to add.
Thank you. Reclaiming. Go ahead, Fowler Nation.
I enjoyed the conversation. As far as the joint accounts and the separate accounts, I totally believe in that. That's what we've been doing for so long. It cuts down a whole lot of arguments and conversations and checking up on things and things of that nature. So as far as what Tammy was saying, I mean, I honestly don't mind being at home. I mean, as long as the bills are being taken care of, I honestly don't mind. My problem was, I cannot make money. Like I don't have to make as much as my wife does, but I've got to bring something. This me personally. I was Ubering. I'll do Uber Eats. I'll lift something. I've got to bring something. I may be home more, and I like that. I didn't have a problem because on those off hours, I don't mind driving or Uber at night. And that's what I was doing for a whole year. I was driving Uber. So I didn't have a problem waking up early morning to go drop people off at work and come home and drop the kids off at school and come home and make them breakfast for the girls and, teach them and play with them and watch PBS and all that stuff and pick up the kids. I didn't have a problem with that. But definitely have that joint account, have that separate account, because you're going to want to do what you want to do when you want to do it and how you want to do it. And if you want to surprise your spouse, you have the opportunity to do that, and you don't have to take it from the core account that handles the bills of the house. As long as the bills of the house are okay, you can do whatever you want with your money. But the house needs to be taken care of.
Okay. So that what he just said was a revelation that he came into maybe about a year or so ago. Well, good job, honey. My takeaway from this conversation that I've definitely enjoyed is do what works for you. Whatever is going to keep your house afloat and keep y'all from sinking up under, do that. My husband, no, there is not a walking soul that can tell me that my husband is not a provider. Even when I was working more than him, he was still making sure that we were held down no matter what, because that's where that value beyond finances kicked in. So what he adds to the family is immeasurable, period. And there's nothing that, someone can say to me otherwise. I will continue to always have my little kitty pot, what I'm going to do over here. But as long as my contribution to the household is helping keep us afloat, then at the end of the day, that's all that really matters. I do believe that, the last thing I want to say was that along with Team James, y'all pray for me that my wealth comes quick so that my husband can be home and be my PYT.
Go ahead, Jennifer.
I agree that this conversation was really well. For me, I kind of grew up in a household where they instilled financial literacy. So it was common for me, but I didn't realize at that point that it wasn't common for other people. So we did not have that conversation going into this marriage because I just thought that was common sense. And so that did cause a lot of issues between us, but they have been able to be resolved through communication. And I think that that's the biggest thing is a lot of times, like he said before, I was the person that always wanted to talk, but we were just talking. We weren't really communicating or establishing things for the relationship. So it's really about putting a plan in motion and being honest about your expectations and how it works for your family, and not necessarily always pulling from outside sources, because what worked for them may not work for you. When it comes to financial contributions, for me, it doesn't really matter as far as like who makes the most money. But my husband has to be contributing something. He can't just be sitting at home and I'm out here making all the cheddar and he just living his best life. No, we gonna live our best life together. Because when we got into this thing, I told you where I see myself and where I wanted us to build an empire, and you have to contribute to that in some way. When it comes to I'll reclaim my time because I'm about to get in trouble apparently.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
It's fine. Oh, last thing though, but when it comes to the separate bank accounts, I agree that separate bank accounts are important. However, for us, I think the most important thing was to be on an equal playing field as far as financial literacy, and establishing what that looks like for us. And because he does not feel comfortable with personal bank accounts, as long as we are able to work this thing out with the mutual bank accounts and we're not having issues or conflicts about what you're buying, us overdrafting and savings, I don't have a problem with the current state of just mutual bank accounts. But when I do, I will get my own.
You will not ever have an issue with that because we are way beyond that. I think this was a great conversation, and I think that this was a necessary conversation, especially considering, again, that finances is one of the top 3 reasons that couples end in divorce. I think finances is one of those things that people are in relationships are just uncomfortable with being open and honest and talking about. And I think that you know, and I haven't done any research on it, but I think that comes from in our jobs when HR says, don't tell anybody else how much you make, it's a secret. I think it kind of stems from that. Like people have that, like finances is a red topic. Don't talk about finances, like that kind of thing. And I think that it's healthy to, you know, have discussions about this is where I stand with this. Where do you stand? Do you agree? Do you disagree? And then you come into that happy medium. So I'm super glad that we had this conversation because you would never realize how much this financial discussion can be a detriment to your relationship. 2 years ago, Jennifer planned a whole entire trip start to finish to another country, Paris, France, and I had no idea. I thought we was going to Minnesota, I think, this whole time. And like we getting up and they're like, you going to Paris? I'm like, what you mean we going to Paris? Like, how in the world did you plan this whole trip to Paris? And I had no idea about any part of it. Super dope trip. Love that she did it. Still don't know how she did it without, you know, because we do only have you got a secret account that I don't know about?
And that's all our time, folks. Thank you so much for joining this conversation.
We're going to have to talk about that off camera. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. If this is your first time joining our page, please do us a favor, like, comment, subscribe, and share this video to your page. You can find us on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. You can also find us on all podcast outlets, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, everywhere that podcasts are played, you can find us. Find us, download the videos. We are going to begin having some exclusive content on our podcast sites only. So we will be posting it on there. So if you want to get those exclusive, you're going to have to sign up for and subscribe to our podcast sites. Until next time, remember that communication is everything. We'll see you guys next Monday with Couples in Conversation.